Welcome to LoJoLife, where we talk about everything from entrepreneurship to family to fitness and everything in between. Today I'm here with my good buddy Joe, and we're here to just chat a little bit about what it's like to be a single father and just about raising boys in general. So, as like all my guests so far, met him at yoga. He also happens to date the lovely Tara the foodie, and
Lovely.
yeah, so here we are. How you doing, Joe?
Excellent. How are you doing today, Pat?
I'm doing pretty good.
Glad that we're making another episode for you and your YouTube channel and creating further content to carry you along in this journey.
Yeah,
in life and your business.
Yeah,
well.
I'm glad as well. I'm happy you were willing to do this. It was very impromptu.
Yeah,
we were gonna. The interview that's going to be coming up with Eric Andrews, I was going to split it into two, but it flowed so well that it didn't feel natural to split it up. So I then asked you if you'd come on and talk about this. I know we've been talking about doing something like this for a while anyway.
Well, absolutely. So just you as a father of two beautiful sons, and you're doing most of it on yourself, and me being a father of a little litter. Herd, a little litter or herd.
Herd's probably better.
Yeah. So you have different circumstances that arise in your life, and my circumstance put me in like the single fatherhood, raising three boys in the recent times, pretty much on my own, not completely. I will say that it's, having the help of family members is truly a gift.
Yes.
Outside of anybody coming in and partaking in helping raise any children. But really, once family leaves for the night and things are set up, it's basically you and those children. And, it's those small day-to-day things that really, it's beyond influence. It's those, it's the things that you can say to them, do with them, that really cement their future and who they are as humans.
And
so
I agree with that. And I think a big piece of it is to some of the point you made is a lot of it's what you do. What you say matters, but what you do, I think, matters even more, because just as humans, and especially kids, they are so observant, and we pick up on the actions that we see more so than words. I mean, how often do you hear people say, like, when people fight or people are unhappy with each other, it's your actions, not your words. Like, you can say sorry 50,000 times, but if you're repeating the same pattern, well, you're not modeling that. You're clearly not showing respect to that person. And I think that the same applies for kids. Like I know I've mentioned it on the channel before and stuff, but a big thing that made me change was to be a good father and be able to model what I want them to do. And I think that goes a long way.
Yes, it does. It does. And to move into, actions, it's that terminology that, actions do speak volumes. They're more important than words themselves, especially when I tell my boys, that I don't want to ever hear them say, I'm sorry. For me, those words don't carry enough weight in the circumstance if something goes wrong. I try to, it's not to say that I don't allow, it's not to say that I don't allow them to say, I'm sorry. I would rather have them be apologetic.
Yes.
Be apologetic and recognize that apology comes from resolving what actually happened that made things come out wrong, but understanding that they're going to try their hardest for that circumstance not to happen again. So rather than jump to the, I'm sorry. We all hear it, like, I'm sorry. Yep. I don't want to hear I'm sorry. I
No.
want you to chew on it a little bit, recognize really what happened,
Internalize it.
internalize it, but be apologetic. You
Hmm.
want to be apologetic. I think the apologetic me carries more weight,
Yeah. Oh,
than
I
just,
agree.
I
And
think,
and
yeah.
I think in that realm too, there are three huge words in my household, and one of them is accountability, and
Oh,
that's part of it.
that's good.
It's you have to atone for it. It's not,
Mm-hmm.
and it is actions. It is maybe doing something nice for that person
Mm-hmm.
afterwards. It is, and to your point, it's making sure that you don't do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Like whatever it is that you did to do that, because once you do that repeated pattern, sorry is an empty word.
Yeah, sorry is a completely empty word for sure. And and yeah, it's there's no weight behind it, when something's done and I'm sorry, but I don't know. I don't know if we should backtrack a little bit
Okay.
because I got a kind of a question for you, um, like ages and stages. I mean, obviously raising a small human, you go through the infancy stage, the toddler stage. Um, I think you're in a stage of, not quite, well, preteen almost, right?
If you ask my if you ever talk to my 7-year-old, he thinks he's a preteen.
Preteen, yeah. So,
He thinks he's a teenager already. I
mhm,
swear.
yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, because right now, you- uh, I would think the experts would agree the formative years are basically, 0 to preteen,
yeah.
so, you know, that human, whoever, girl or boy, is pretty much formalized, I mean, solidified who they're going to be by the time they reach the age of, I think even like 7 or 8. Some of
Oh
the
yeah.
specialists or
Well,
you know um, statistics will show.
yeah.
I
Well,
don't
and
know
from
if that's
my observation, too, just as being a father and somebody that's watched these kids grow, and if you even look at like you can look at one household and you can
mm-hmm,
see how different siblings can be.
mm-hmm,
I truly believe that, and this is not scientifically backed, but my belief on this is loosely is as human beings we are who we are. It's baked into us when we're born. Now you can be
mm-hmm.
taught the values, and then I think that's the formative years part you're talking about,
Sure.
teaching the values, teaching how to be polite, those kind of things. But I do think a lot of personality is hardwired into us.
Yes.
When I look at
Mm-hmm,
my kids, Logan and Joey, they are so different,
mm-hmm,
but they share the same values because I taught them
mm.
and teach them certain values and stuff like that. But I do think that there is a lot of just you are who you are.
Yeah.
And that's an
D-
argument, obviously, that scientists have had out for a long time.
True. True.
Because I think, and psychologists, because it's an interesting dynamic. And it's one that I think some people don't like to admit because there are some
Mm.
people, and I think this comes to ego, that want to think that everything that they do, their child is
Mm-hmm,
because of everything that they do. And I think that there's some truth to that. I do think that you have to set
mm-hmm,
the boundaries. You have to teach them what's right and wrong.
mm-hmm.
But I mean, intelligence is baked into somebody.
Sure.
Um, the way that people handle people, there's flight or flight. Some people just naturally are going to
Mm.
run. Some
Yep.
people are going to naturally just bullhead right into it.
Mm-hmm,
Um, but but it's the values thing. I think the values, you have to teach the values you want because
mm-hmm,
the school's not going to teach it. Your tablet's not going to teach it.
mm-hmm.
Um, it's the words and the actions that you do on a daily basis. Are you an honest person? Do you show integrity?
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, my top three words in our house: accountability, integrity, and honesty.
Okay.
Those are the three. We've got 10 up on the wall of our values, but those are the top three. Those are the ones that
Mm-hmm.
I constantly preach.
No, that's great that you do that because any parent that would watch this single parent or a traditional nuclear family would be you're always, at least for me, I'm always looking for tips and tricks,
Mm-hmm.
to help communicate better with my boys,
Yeah.
and just being as a parent. I mean, I'm a father of 5, but every child of mine is so unique, so different.
Yeah.
To try
Well,
to match with, like you're saying, you have a value system that you want to teach them. You want them to be honest and speak with integrity. Be
yep.
a person with integrity.
Mm-hmm.
Especially raising boys. I mean, they're not going to be boys long.
No.
They're going to have to approach difficult situations and have that you speak as integrity, but that certain stoic sense value system where they don't falter,
Yep.
they don't run away from it, they don't hide from challenges, they approach things and conquer the things that they need to conquer, that they can not only protect themselves but hopefully offer protection for the loved ones in their life or other people that need that protection.
Yep.
That's basically how I feel as a father raising boys into men. That's how it should be.
Yep.
That's how it needs to be. You need to raise them. You need to raise them to understand that. Like they have to be able to carry the weight on the world in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's true. I mean, there is a lot of pressure on being a man. There is. I know it's sometimes this day and age, it's not popular to be a man, but I mean, as far as like the toxic masculinity narrative and all that stuff, and I agree that there are some traits like that that are bad when taken to extremes. But I think in general, there is a lot of pressure because no matter what people say, there still is that underlying expectation that as a man you're going to step up, you're going to take care of situations when things get rough and things are, there's just that expectation there is. And I think innately, like as a man, you want to provide for your family, you want to protect your family, and you need your kids to, if you have boys, to understand how to do that, and not being an asshole, not being a misogynist, not like that part, no, but being willing to say, yes, I'm a man, standing up and just handling a situation again with integrity and whatnot. But I think that that's something that it shouldn't be a shameful thing.
No.
And I do feel like there has been a big shift towards that thought process.
Sure. Yeah, there's definitely some social issues that, for me scanning through the environment of the social media that I'm involved with, my take on it though is more like it could be, you've said the word masculinity and you said the word misogyny, and I think there's a line that is between the two that are being blended, and I think those lines should be clear, and it should be clear because it is, we need in this world, we need masculinity. We don't need misogyny, but I think the term misogyny and masculinity kind of get convoluted or almost like blended together in the wrong
well, that's
conversation.
probably why there's an attack on masculinity, honestly, because
there's definitely figures out there that they mislabel somebody a misogynist when really they're not. They're just a strong masculine person. And likewise, there's people that are misogynists that, he's just masculine. I'm like, understand what the meaning are.
And truthfully, like I think a masculine, like I think where those lines get blurred too is when a guy is, and he gets his school prick, for lack of a better word, and talks down to people. People conflate that with masculine, but I think that's the exact opposite of masculine.
It is.
I think being masculine is just being confident in yourself, confident in your ability to handle a situation, but you're not degrading somebody. You're not chopping somebody down to feel bigger. And I do think that that's another part of that, like blending of just putting too many eggs in the masculinity basket that don't belong there.
Yes.
Which then gives it that wrong, or that misguided view on it.
Yeah. And I think that, Oh yeah, that was a great point. There's definitely, raising boys, you want them to be masculine, of course. I mean, yeah, we're not guaranteed that they're going to always be wanting female companionship. That's
Yeah.
not a guarantee.
No, and
I
that's
get
fine.
that.
And
It's
that's
fine.
another thing for
But
me. It's okay. I mean, if
yes.
that's because we've talked about before, there every single kid is a different person,
Mm-hmm.
and if that's what they feel, that's fine. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
gonna push against that. I'm not gonna tell him he's a horrible person. I'm not gonna disown him.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you can even be masculine and still be gay. I mean, I
Sure.
think you can. I think that that's definitely a
Mm-hmm.
thing that I think again gets blurred. Like I personally, my view is my kid is who he is. I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to love him no matter what he is, what he decides he wants to do. Now, I'm not going to go out of my way to push him in a direction one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
But if nature says that this is what he is,
Mm-hmm.
that's it, and that's fine. I'm not gonna like I said, I'm not gonna disown him. I'm not gonna be upset about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know a lot about that world. I'd have a lot to learn.
Yeah.
But I would do it because that's part of being a father.
Exactly.
Is and to dial it back, a point I wanted to make a while back with the kids being different is I think it's important to identify how they're different
Mm-hmm.
and then find a way to connect with them.
Mm-hmm.
Because even having my two sons, one of my boys is so much like me.
Mm.
It is super easy to relate to. It is super easy to just be like, all right, we connect. We don't have to do it.
Yeah, those are the easy ones.
My other son, we have some things, but I find myself having to go out of my way to learn ways to connect with him. But I do it because I love him. And I think that if we have more connection, he's more likely to be receptive to the values that I teach. And I don't want him to feel like because he likes something I don't, we can't connect.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people go wrong there. I think a lot of people just, this is my way to parent. This is it. I'm going to put a blanket over everything. Everything that we do is going to be what I like. And I think that's an awful approach.
Well, yeah, that too. And, being around, the extracurricular activities that any child can be participate in, you do see some of the influences that the parents have, and it's overbearing at times.
Yeah. Well, you coach wrestling, so you see it.
You coach wrestling, yeah, and it doesn't matter. It could be wrestling, it could be music, even.
Yeah.
I mean, you're doing band, or you're involved in this, and it's not because your child is interested in this activity. It's because the parent did it when they're young.
So much.
It is. And if you're watching this, if you're a parent and if you have a child that is truly involved in something that they really don't want to do, but you want them in it, you really have to just check yourself. And, especially, the child is not going to be a child forever, and you don't want them to have a resentment towards you as a parent, when they're older, because of this involvement, whether it's in any, sports, music, it could be drama, it could be anything, and it's horrible because, I have two older children from a first marriage, and, they have some resentment for their mother for some of the things that, they were involved in. And, she was a great parent for them, but on the element of involvement and keeping them involved in things, then they may have not ever really wanted to participate in. It affected them. It affects every child, and as a father, do I want my kids wrestling? Hell yeah. Do I want my kids doing karate? Hell yeah. Do I want my kids, going to yoga classes? Hell yeah. But do they do it with me?
Yeah. No, I'm 1000% with you on that. And
they're going to do what they want to do.
Yeah. Well, I've seen even with my boys just being in sports for 2 years, I've seen those parents, and I always shake my head. And I have one rule right now. I'm at the age my boys are at the age where you throw everything at the wall and see what sticks.
Mm-hmm.
And the rule I have is if you start something, you have to finish that season If you never want to do it again, I will not make you. You can walk away, but you have to finish that commitment. And that goes to just instilling that discipline and that sense of commitment. And
Mm-hmm.
you made a commitment to a team, so you finish it.
Yeah.
But you never have to do it again. And we'll find something else because, to your point, there's so much out there. There's something that they're going to like.
There's so much,
that enforcing it on them, you're right. It just breeds resentment and it just stresses the kid out unnecessarily in a way that doesn't need to happen. And it's just not a good way to build trust and to build a relationship with your kid.
No, because with my oldest son, we've had some really deep conversations, even going back when he was in his teenage years. I remember having those deep conversations with him, and I had to. You can't turn away from those conversations.
No, you have to have those conversations.
And it was fortunate because I didn't have custody of them. I had like visitations kind of thing. Yeah. But he took every opportunity that he had with me, which is great because it shows with in his stage of life that he's in right now. But yeah, to have that connection and to really see it come to its fruition after, he's 26 now. Yeah, 26. Yeah, 26 now.
Yeah.
So this is, when he was a teenage kid, and, I'm trying to relate when I was a teenager, with the hormones and the pools, the influences with your friends and drugs and school and, extracurricular things that you were involved in. Everything was coming at you. And, but yeah, take advantage of it, parents. Yep. If, don't hush up your parent. Don't hush up your kids because you think their question or their little conversation.
Yeah. Well, and again, it goes to just the fact that you want to have that relationship, but the time is fleeting too.
Yes.
Before you know it, it will be over, and there'll be adults, and I haven't experienced that yet, but you have, and you don't get those moments back.
No.
They're not going to. They'll remember that they didn't have those conversations with you, and you're going to sit there and wish you did. Yeah. I think another thing that we've talked about before offline is too many parents expect the schools to teach them everything. Yeah. And no, the school's there to teach them a curriculum, and you're there as parents to spend time with them and to teach them the home values and the communication skills. That's another thing. A lot of people have poor communication skills, and it starts at home.
Yes, it does.
And the parents want to throw their hands up and abdicate that it's not their fault, it's somebody else's fault. But how can you expect your kids to have that if you're not giving it to them? Where else they're supposed to get it?
They will get it from their friends.
Yeah,
and they're going to get the stories of life, drugs, sex, whatever their interests are, or not even interests, but they'll get it from their friends or their friends' parents. And
I'm a very open. Like, one thing that I do with my parenting is so many parents give canned bullshit kid answers to kids for big questions.
Yes.
And I don't do that. I am very honest and very transparent and now obviously I can't get super detailed with them. I have to keep it high level because they don't understand certain things. But I do. My kids are 6 and 7 and they know about my drug addiction. They know about that daddy wasn't the best person he could be during that, because I think that it's important for them to understand early on. And that translates across the board. If they ask me a question, I give them an honest answer. Do I pine it back a little bit if I have to? Yes. But it starts with honesty, because I want them to be honest. So why would I ever lie about something to them? Because as soon as they catch me in a lie, they're not going to believe me anymore.
Oh yeah. I mean,
and it destroys them.
It destroys them, but also it marks that conversation or what you said to them as a kind of like, hey, you got some bullshit, Dad.
Yep.
And
Then why would they
I,
believe you?
and I think as a parent too, or as a father, I am. I came to terms like I can only answer so much, and when I can't answer something, I don't know the right way to approach things. I tell them right,
Yep.
truthfully, like, well, I'm not best with finances.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm one of the, people
But that's
that,
part of the
part of
honesty is
and
instead of giving them a bullshit answer,
I can't give a bullshit.
you are just telling them,
Just,
hey, I
yeah.
don't know, but this is
Hmm.
how we can find out,
Yeah.
type of thing.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
it seems that it's apparent for you and apparent for myself as far as approaching some of that circumstances, but like maybe I know talking with some other parents out there, single fathers too, they've stumbled upon some things that they didn't realize that they would have to really be concerned with raising children. And
yeah.
guess what? You're not raising children, you're raising adults, and
Yes.
they're gonna bring something to the plates, to the table, to the conversation that you know you can't even prepare yourself for it. But you have to let
Yeah.
you say you're open minded. You have to let your listen to them for who they are, not for who you think you want them to be.
Yes.
So,
Yes. Well, and again, everybody has their strengths and their weaknesses.
mhm.
Your kids are no different. You are no different.
Yeah.
And just teaching them that, okay, this is how you compensate for that.
Mhm.
If you're having trouble with this, you can either get stronger with this
Mhm.
or get better in this area to kind of offset that.
Mhm.
And part of that starts with being transparent about your shortcomings too. So
Mhm.
uh, at some point, and I'm not, fortunately, I'm not at that point yet because I love this point, but at some point you
Mhm.
stop being Superman. Like
Yeah.
they understand that,
Mhm.
like, and as much as I enjoy that,
Mhm.
I'll probably enjoy more when I'm not, because that means I'm doing it right, and it
Mhm.
means that I, I'll feel confident that I put them in a position to be able to conquer the world and to be
Mhm.
able to handle those situations. Plus, by keeping the communication open, they're more willing to come to me in their
Yeah.
teen years or in their early adult years when they're struggling with something
Yes.
and actually want advice from me and actually listen to it.
Mhm.
Whereas if they think I'm full of crap, or if we
Mhm.
don't have a good communication style, or
Mhm.
they're afraid, they're not going to come to me.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I don't want that.
Yeah.
I think it's important for them to know that I'm always there.
Yeah.
And am I always going to agree? No. And will I offer opposing viewpoints if I don't agree? Sure.
Mhm.
But it'll be a discussion. It won't be a lecture. And
Mhm.
it'll be, and again, that's teaching them communication skills.
Mhm.
It's okay to have a conversation with somebody you don't agree with and not get all upset about it.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably the those are the conversations that more people should have.
I
They
I
should have
agree.
more conversations with people that have a completely different viewpoint of yourself, because
Yep.
we all know, when you meet up with somebody, you link up with somebody fresh and new, and you instantly hit it off the mark because, oh wow, this guy's, we all share the same passions and interests, but it's the person that has like things that you're like, what are you talking about? What is this straight? You believe that?
Yeah.
And
And trying to understand that,
yeah, really, you should.
exactly. One, I always think that life is always in the gray area. It never
Mm,
exists in the black and the white, which media and social media want you to believe everything is one thing or the other. But
mm-hmm.
the truth is always somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
And I think that, um, what was the point I was going to make?
Mm-hmm.
I think with that, it's having that conversation with somebody that doesn't agree with you. It does one of two things.
Mm-hmm.
One, it forces you to grow and maybe change your opinion, which again is okay
Yeah.
to change your opinion with new facts.
Yeah.
Or two, it strengthens your opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But understanding the other side is the only way that you can really understand the whole picture.
Mm.
And I think that that's another thing again that's important to pass down to your kids.
Yeah.
Let them understand. A lot of what I consume, um, when it comes to media and things is I look at a lot more of the opposing viewpoint of what I
Mm-hmm.
believe than I do of my own viewpoint. I don't need an echo chamber. I know what I think and what I
Mm-hmm.
believe. I don't need somebody else agreeing with me on it. I want to see what the other side has to offer.
Mm-hmm.
And like I've even found with my friends group sometimes, I can tell that the group think happens sometimes because I'll hear them make a comment on something
Mm.
where I've watched the opposing viewpoint of it, and what they spit back to me is the rhetoric of their viewpoint, and it's not the truth. Like because I've seen both sides of it, and I only know that because I watched both sides.
Mm-hmm.
They got locked into I'm watching my side.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they said that that side's wrong because of that, and there's no truth to it, or it's a half truth. And
and the other part too is I don't think there's really a wrong side. I mean, if there's something that's
not.
If wherever your beliefs align up to be, whether in my life or my children's lives or somebody that you're influenced by in your life, it's not to say somebody has to be wrong or right. If it's working, if it's a working model in your microcosm or your life itself, then continue to do it. I mean, we met through yoga. That's a very solid foundation of people that take care of themselves, because to do what you do in a routine, it's beautiful. But just because somebody doesn't do yoga doesn't mean you don't listen to them. I mean, they could be somebody that bikes a lot or runs a lot or CrossFits. I mean, or doesn't do anything. It's not to say that they something that they say doesn't have any value. But yeah, just it doesn't mean anybody's wrong. I think it's just if it works in their life, it works in their life.
Well, and and the other thing too is like there is that aspect of fuck, I just lost my train of thought. Yeah, you could
Tara, beer me, please.
But
yeah, because I just going along to the just to put the little other tidbit about right and wrong. I mean, your path in life is somebody that you won't include drugs or alcohol in your life, and I'm on the other side. I'm drinking now, and I'll do other things.
Yep.
And
who's
obviously
right? We're friends.
It's like, exactly. Who's right? Who's wrong? And it's like, well, does it need to be that way, or does it? I think functioning in your life the way you need it to be. And
exactly. And
likewise, my life.
I think the point to that is that I think too many people also spend way too much time being caught up in what everybody else is doing. My viewpoint in general, 99.9% of the time, is if it does not affect me, I don't care. I don't need to worry about what somebody else is doing if it's not affecting me. True. And I know if it's negatively affecting other people, I might have an opinion on it. But I mean, if somebody like you drinking has no impact on me whatsoever, you're not acting like a jackass. You're not being rude or mean to me.
Yeah, I'm not trying to do a shot with me. Come on, man.
Exactly.
Drink a beer, you pussy. Come on, man.
Exactly. So I mean, it's okay. Like
it is.
So it doesn't bother me that you drink. It's not a big deal. Just like it doesn't bother you that I don't drink.
No, it doesn't.
And there are so many people out there that are so worried about what the other person is doing that it. And again, the whole point of all this is it comes back to your kids see how you talk and your kids see how you act about things.
Yes.
So I mean, by having this kind of conversation, this is how we talk in general. Our kids pick that up.
Yes.
Your kids listen whenever you think they're not listening. They hear 99.9% of everything that ever comes out of your mouth, even if they're not home now. But I mean, if they're in the house or if they're in your vicinity, they're hearing it. So you need to be very mindful of what you're saying and what you're doing and how you're acting. And I think that's a good stopping point. But this is a good precursor. Joe and I are going to be going on a live stream soon. Yes. We're going to talk about these kind of things, and maybe this will be a spinoff. We do our own.
Yeah, we're definitely always bouncing around ideas between us. I think the other part of the live stream that we're trying to gather together and see how it will work is actually having a conversation with our children on the live stream, both mic'd up, and you know, it could be like an open forum question and answer kind of thing, or it could be topic based. You know, I don't know,
Mhm.
but I think really the content is not out there
Yeah.
as far as, you know, having that content where you have a parent and you have a child and they're mic'd up and, you know, they're talking about things.
Yep.
And it doesn't need to be they're trying to sell something or they're trying to be funny or, you know, they're trying to make some sort of viral video. It's just more or less just, you know, how do you approach this really? It's like you can talk about the sport, what they're involved in, or you can discuss some deeper issues, you know, like
Yep.
it could be like ask dad this or ask dad that, you know, and
Yep.
you're on the spot. You know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And
yeah,
well, and the way you pitched it when we were talking about it is it's just like real life. You don't get a do over. You don't get takes. You don't
yeah,
get it's you're asked a question and you answer it, and
yeah,
that's kind of where it's at. And that plays back into the being open and honest and
yes,
being very transparent with your kids.
mm-hmm,
And you can see that we practice what we preach in that realm.
mm-hmm,
Like it is and I know we might not always agree on the same things,
mm,
but it's okay. I don't.
yeah,
It's fine.
yeah,
I promise people, it's fine.
sure. Yeah, my
um,
kids are not straight A students. They work very well though. I mean, they get decent enough grades. They do what they need to do. And
yep.
and you know, I think that me as a parent, that's kind of what I preach. You know, I wasn't the star student, man. I was quite the prankster. I was
Yep.
quite the person that got the wrong kind of attention. But you know, I wasn't out there to, you know, damage property, be a vandal, or you know, cause any, you know, traumatic emotional experiences on people's lives. But man, you know, I was kind of like a troublemaker, prankster kind of thing. And
Mm-hmm.
so I tell my boys, you know, like, I'm not expecting you to be an honor student and get straight A's,
Yep.
you know, but I do want you to function as a human being and, you know, be the best version of yourself that you can be.
Yep.
And grades are, in my mind, eh, you know, it's there in the equation, but I don't even think it's in my top five
Yeah.
in
It's not.
grade wise, you
It's
know?
definitely not an end all be all.
No.
And that's a conversation we could definitely have
Yeah,
in a future
for
video
sure.
because
Please.
I have a lot of thoughts on that.
Yeah.
But there's a little preview. We got some more content coming
Yeah.
that we're gonna do together,
Excellent.
and
Yep.
I really appreciate you taking this impromptu
No,
conversation.
no, this is excellent. This is something that it needs to happen. It needs to be done. I think
Yep.
content wise, and we're getting chooched here. I don't know
Yep.
how well this is going to happen.
Well, if you
Well,
like the video, please like and subscribe. I hope you hear this. All right, you guys have a good night.